Salamanca, central Spain. As dawn broke 4 miles to the south of this city on the 22nd of July 1812, two armies shook off the rain from the previous night's thunderstorm. For the last 6 days, the French army under Marshal Marmont had gradually been outmanoeuvring the combined English, Spanish, and Portuguese forces under the Earl of Wellington. In the early morning light, the British cursed their commanders' unwillingness to commit to a battle. They had proven themselves twice already that year, seizing the border fortress of Ciudad Rodrigo in January after a lightning-fast 11-day siege. 3 months later, in a night of vicious and bloody fighting on the 6th of April, they captured Badajoz, opening the way into central Spain and allowing Wellington to take the fight to the French for the first time in 3 years. No one expected a battle on the 22nd of July. They had even less inkling that by nightfall, Marmont's 52,000-strong army would be broken and fleeing for their lives. Wellington had planned meticulously for this campaign, ensuring that all the other French armies in Spain were occupied by attacks from other commanders or Spanish guerrillas, so that they could not offer Marmont reinforcements. Despite the preparations, he knew he could not afford to sacrifice his men unless there was a strong likelihood of winning a battle. The landscape on which the two armies faced each other on 22nd of July was dominated by two hills, the Arapiles. After some early skirmishing around the chapel of Nuestra Senora de la Pena, Wellington occupied the Lesser Arapile, a position he mistakenly believed to be lesser than the Greater Arapile. Marmont occupied the Greater Arapile and used it as a pivot to swing his army around behind, before marching west to continue the outflanking manoeuvre. Wellington responded by forming a defensive line above the heights of the village of Los Arapiles and waited, making plans for a withdrawal whilst hoping for a lucky break. That break came when, early in the afternoon, two of Marmont's division under Thomier and Macun made a small mistake. After marching a little too fast along the Monte de Azan, they became isolated from the rest of the army. It was a mistake that could have been solved quickly, but it was already too late. Wellington seized the opportunity to attack them with 2 divisions of his own, knowing that they would not have the support of the rest of the French army. After being mauled by British musketry, both divisions were shattered by a devastating British cavalry charge. The French lost 4,500 men in around 40 minutes, and by free chance their commander was wounded by an exploding shell, leaving them leaderless at this crucial point in the battle. The British attacks in the centre of the battlefield were less successful, as Wellington deployed his weakest division, the 4th Division, to attack the French centre. As this failed and the 4th Division pulled back, a 2-mile gap opened up in the British line. As the French tried to counter-attack, though, Wellington simply moved in one of the 2 divisions that he had kept in reserve, who broke the counter-attack. With their left and centre broken, the French were forced to withdraw, whilst a French division under Foray made a heroic stand, covering their comrades' retreat for a crucial hour before they too were broken. As night drew in, Wellington halted his exhausted, victorious army, believing that the Spanish garrison he had posted in the castle at Alba de Tormes would trap the French, destroying them as they tried to cross the river. Wellington was unaware that the Spanish had withdrawn days earlier as the French crept into the area, a frustrating fact for him to learn after a hard day's battle. Nonetheless, the Battle of Salamanca proved to be one of Wellington's most overwhelming victories. The Allied loss of 4,809 men was dwarfed by that of the French, 12,345 men killed, wounded, or taken prisoner. With victory at Salamanca, the path was clear for Wellington to march on Madrid, liberating the city on the 12th of August. It was the crowning triumph of a brilliant 8 months of campaigning. The tide of the Peninsular War seemed to have finally turned against the French.